Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Or should I say artists and robots? Hope you're doing well. Welcome to Belgrade. I have a great honor to be here and to represent ULUS, which is the largest association of artists
good morning.
in the Balkan region.
Or should I say artists and robots?
And
Hope you're doing well. Welcome to Belgrade. I have a great honor to be here and to represent ULUS, which is the largest association of artists.
This is actually very realistic because one of the first slides in my presentation is about duality of arts and robots. So to figure out where we stand in terms of this duality, I would like to ask kindly those people in the audience who have woke up this morning as robots. Please raise your hands. We have already quite a few robots. And then those who woke up as artists this morning. We are still on the human side. We're still defending the side of humanity. And what about those who are in between, who are artists and robots? Well, okay, hybridity is also a reality. As I said at the beginning, my name is Maja Ćirić. I'm an independent curator. I would say that I'm in between an art historian and a robot. And I have a great honor to speak on behalf of ULUS, who stands behind this conference and this symposium, as well as the events that will follow in the coming days. So I would also like to pay my acknowledgement to different associations who made this possible. One of them is the International Association of Art, and the other one is the AN from UK. Without them, this conference wouldn't be possible. Also, I would like to pay my tribute to the historical legacy, because if somebody hundreds of years ago was not capable of understanding what progress means, we wouldn't be sitting in this wonderful building, which is defending both arts and humanity for a very long time, and which is also dedicated to the tradition that we embody in ourselves, but also very promising, has a very promising attitude towards what is coming. And this is the Kolaras building that we are at this moment. So now I would like to start with my arts and robots little presentation that will give you a couple of tools that will help you today during the orienteering process that we are about to embark. Because as we know, arts and robots and AI, it's a very wide topic. It's a buzzword of today. NFTs were the buzzword in 2020. The metaverse was the buzzword in 2021. But then 2022 and 2023, it's somehow all about artificial intelligence. Thank you for your patience. We are yet to be fully integrated into robotics. But that's okay, because we should embrace every disadvantage on our way. And that's actually the point of this conference. We are about to learn a lot about us in the future, and we have to position ourselves. This is exactly why at the beginning of this little and short orienteering presentation, at the word "and" I put a strike through. Because we actually don't know if we will remain at the side of the art or at the side of robotics, or whether we're going to integrate both and robots will become art and art will become robots. So that's why when you think of this conference, it will be maybe wise to understand that although we would like to remain on the side of making a couple, matching with somebody, it's not always easy, and there is a possibility for it to become that an end will have a strike through in between. But there is a term, when I was thinking of this conference, I was thinking of what would be the term that would connect art history and robotics. How many of you know what a filter bubble is? Raise your hands. 2, 3. Okay. A filter bubble is something which is it's actually an ideological frame. We are in a filter bubble when we think of art history and our associations. But actually, filter bubble is a very new term, and it is connected to the robots more than to humans. And actually, filter bubble is based on an ideological frame that's based on every click, on every search history. It is something that helps an algorithm define you. And because of your search history and your clicks and the time you have tuned on your computer, the filter bubble is that ideological frame that will showcase to you every future search, every advertisement, anything that is connected to your browsing history. But I thought filter bubble is also something that's very inherent to the artist and the art world people. Sometimes we tend to remain in a bubble of a sort. So I think we are now living at a time when we are supposed to connect these two filter bubbles to understand how we are in a bubble in the art world and how everything that we do on the internet and related to the technological development is connected to our filter bubbles. And the purposes of the conferences such as this one is to break our filter bubbles, to approach artificial intelligence and robots from a critical perspective and to understand how we can break out from the known, the things that we have learned in the art world and then things that we are unconsciously working on and with and about online. And we are asking again this morning a question, can computers create art? But actually this is a computer, this is a work of art which is computer-based and that dates, as you see, in 1964. And it is an artwork inspired by Mondrian by Japanese artist Hiroshi Kawano. They have all dreamt of machines and the machines have arrived. Actually, this is a quote not from today. This is a quote from 1970s, from a very prominent exhibition that happened in Zagreb that makes, the title of the exhibition is New Tendencies. At the right-hand side, you can see the examples of computer-based art in the public space. And you see what year it is. It's in between 1961 and 1973. But also ULUS, who is your host today, had a very, was part and initiated a very prominent exhibition in 1991. And the title of that exhibition was Computer Art. So whatever we do today, we have to have a historical perspective and understand where we are coming from. It is a very old question of art history and humanity as such. Where are we coming from and where are we going? And it seems that the question remains the same, but it is just the technological development that make us reimagine where we are and where we are going. So just to tell you, this is a revival of the exhibition New Tendencies that happened in Zagreb, and it was it was no less than at Karlsruhe Center for Media, and it happened, as you see, in 2008. So talking about the relevance of the region, of this region, and the contribution to the topic, as we say, here you can see, turns out that 1960s Yugoslavia was a hotbed for computer art. It's an article from last year at Vice. So the context that we are raising, the question has changed and the technological development has improved. The state of the art is very advanced at this moment. And we are here again to ask the question, what are we to do about it? So in practical terms, we have to figure out once again what art and the digital order have to do together. And, but also we have to understand what art and the digital ephemeral powder, so to say, have to do together. If you want to have a philosophical input from this conference, I would advise you to follow the words of South Korean and German philosopher Byung-Chul Han and his book Infocracy, where he says that today we're living the processed information and artificial intelligence, which determine the political, social, and economic relations. But just because of that, there is a crisis of narrative, because narratives, they become information. I think most of the things when we go wrong in the art world is because we are not capable of philosophically understanding what is happening. So in order to understand, like 10 years ago, I would be talking as an art curator and an art critic, I would be talking in the terms such as the other and knowledge. But the times have changed, and you can see in the book Infocracy. Now we are living in the time of the same, and knowledge is not, unfortunately, not that important, because we are living in the time of acceleration, and it is the distraction that creates some kind of knowledge. It is distraction and entertainment. So no more other, and no more authenticity, but the sameness and the distraction. So we have to position ourselves. And when we talk about art, and as artists, art critics, when an artist shows what they did, we have to understand if these artistic practices are, where are they positioned, but not only in terms of the society at large. We are talking about something very specific to the IT sector, and it is this artist using the tools, which are the front-end tools, or the back-end tools? In practical terms, this means, is an artist using Mid-Journey or DALL-E, for example? This would be a front-end. Or is an artist coding himself or herself, or they? So if they are coding, then they are positioned in the back-end, not in the front-end. If they're only using the tools that are available, and as you can see in this fortune wheel, there are so many tools, and text to image is only one tool. Then there is the there is the text to voice, and then, I mean, it goes on and on. So it is code, speech, 3D, research, video, and image. These are all the newest tools that an artist can use. So we have to understand where we position ourselves when it comes to artificial intelligence. Is it a genre? Is it a tool? Is it a team? Is it a collaboration? Or is this post-human design? It's so vast. So at the right-hand side, you can see the Cultus, which is a new piece by Zach Blass, and that was presented in London this week. The Cultus, of course, refers to artificial intelligence. And basically, he has created a couple of characters that are representing our society understanding the artificial intelligence as a cult. Generative art is where I have seen the artists being the most successful. And it is basically because they are coding, and also because the generative art has a niche of its own, which means they have their own platforms, they have their own appreciation tools, they have their system of values, and the artists that have been the most prominent were not the artists who were creating in the front end, with the front end applications, is the artists who have been creating because they are capable of coding. But the title of this conference is An Artist's Labor, isn't it so? And we have to make, I would like to stress here a difference between work and labor, because of the blurring of the time of the private and the public time within the artist's lives. Very often we blur the line between the work and the labor. Labor is, of course, paid, and ideally an artist would work under these conditions, but many times artists only work, and this is where the self-exploitation emerges. So a few terms to end my presentation is actually how we're going to deal with the authenticity in the future, and how this authenticity can stand against automation and alienation. Just to understand that the aesthetical achievements of today are not that different from the aesthetic achievements of computer art historically. Here you have two examples. The one in color is the AI-based architecture from this year, and in the gray is the kinetic architecture, which is computer-based from the exhibition New Tendencies from the 80s. But in order to avoid any alienation, we have to pay attention to the shift in artistic authorship, loss of human touch and authenticity, impact on artistic identity, societal perceptions and validations, our dependency on algorithms, ethical considerations, and authenticity concerns. Also, we have to have in mind a possible job displacement and redefinition of roles in the future, dehumanization and lack of meaningful interaction, skill mismatch and training needs, loss of control and autonomy, economic inequality and concentration of power, surveillance and privacy concerns, ethical dilemmas, and value conflicts. At the right-hand side, you have a generative art example by Aleksandra Jovanic, who is one of the most successful generative artists from Serbia. She's globally successful. At the left-hand side, there is an example of generative computer-based art from the 80s. And to end my presentation, yesterday I had a talk with a person whose alter ego is Gregor Mobius. It is a very interesting character from the Serbian art scene. And it is important to understand that this is a person who has gained a Master of Science in Visual Studies from the Department of Visual Language Institute at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in the 80s. So, Master of Science in Visual Studies. Gregor Mobius is the person whose film we will see just as I finish this presentation. And it is important that yesterday, and I would like to quote Gregor Mobius, yesterday he told me, listen, actually, our visual apparatus in our body is just a small black box. It is a visual cortex in our brain. And artificial intelligence is just the same little black box for artificial, it's just a disembodied little black box. And this disembodied little black box, which is artificial intelligence, actually needs a body. And that body in the future will be, or already today, for some, that body in the future widely will be present as robots. I am happy to moderate this conference today, and I will introduce my significant peers in this journey today. We have speakers from Finland, Serbia, Germany, and UK, and they will tackle these problematics from various points of view. Welcome.
Modern Art Tales by AI Artisan. Modern Art Tale. Once upon a time, in the early 1900s, the world of art was going through a great transformation. For centuries, artists had been following the same old rules, creating paintings that looked like photographs or idealized versions of reality. But then, something magical happened. A group of artists, inspired by the post-impressionist painters, decided to break free from tradition and explore new ways of creating art. They called themselves the Fauve, or wild beasts, and they painted with bold, bright colors and loose, expressive brushstrokes. Their paintings were like nothing the world had ever seen before, and people were both shocked and thrilled by their vibrant, energetic style. But the Fauve were just the beginning. Soon, other artists were inspired to break free from tradition as well. In 1907, Pablo Picasso and Georges Braque created a new style called Cubism. They broke down objects into geometric shapes and forms, creating paintings that were abstract and experimental. As the years went on, more and more artists joined the modern art movement, each bringing their own unique style and vision to the table. Some, like the Expressionists, focused on the emotional and psychological aspects of art, creating paintings that were intense and distorted. Others, like the Dadaists, rejected traditional values and conventions, creating art that was absurd and nonsensical. But perhaps the most magical movement of all was Surrealism. Led by artists like Salvador Dali and René Magritte, Surrealism explored the world of dreams and the subconscious, creating paintings that were mysterious and otherworldly. As time went on, the world of modern art continued to evolve. Artists like Jackson Pollock and Willem de Kooning created a new style called abstract expressionism, which emphasized the act of painting itself. Other artists, like Andy Warhol and Roy Lichtenstein, brought popular culture and everyday objects into art, creating a movement called pop art. Finally, in the 1960s, a new movement emerged called minimalism. Artists like Donald Judd and Dan Flavin created works of art that were simple and pared down, using basic shapes and colors to create stunning visual effects. And so, the story of modern art came to an end. But its legacy lives on, inspiring artists all over the world to break free from tradition and create something new and magical.
Futuristic story of modern art. In the future, the world of art underwent a transformation unlike any other. As technology advanced, so did the creative capabilities of artists. They no longer needed canvas and paint to create their works of art, but instead utilized holographic and virtual reality technologies to bring their visions to life. The first movement of the new era was called digital expressionism. Artists utilized computer programs and algorithms to create stunningly intricate and detailed works of art, with colors and shapes that seemed to dance and shimmer before the viewer's eyes. But as technology continued to evolve, so did the world of art. The next movement was called neural art, where artists used artificial intelligence to generate their works. The machines analyzed patterns in nature and human behavior, and used these insights to create art that seemed to be alive, pulsing with energy and vitality. In the decades that followed, new movements emerged at an ever-increasing pace. Virtual surrealism allowed artists to create immersive dreamscapes that engulfed the viewer's senses, while quantum minimalism utilized principles of quantum physics to create works that were both simple and complex, with layers of meaning that seemed to shift and change depending on the viewer's perspective. As the world of art continued to expand, new technologies emerged that allowed artists to merge the physical and digital worlds. Augmented reality art allowed viewers to experience works of art in a new and immersive way, overlaying digital elements onto the real world. Mixed reality art took this even further, creating fully interactive works of art that responded to the viewer's movements and actions. But amidst all this innovation and progress, some artists began to question the role of technology in art. They longed for a return to the tactile and physical nature of traditional art forms, and thus a new movement was born: analog renaissance. Artists utilized materials such as wood, stone, and metal to create works that were both timeless and contemporary, paying homage to the traditions of the past while embracing the possibilities of the future. And so, the world of art in the future was a constantly evolving and ever-changing landscape, with each new movement and technology pushing the boundaries of creativity and imagination. From digital expressionism to analog renaissance and beyond, the legacy of modern art lived on, inspiring new generations of artists to explore the unknown and create art that was truly beyond our wildest dreams.
Modern art SF story. In the year 2100, the world of art had undergone a transformation that was nothing short of remarkable. Artists had long since abandoned the traditional forms of art, and had embraced a new era of artistic expression that was fueled by technology and innovation. It all began in the early 20th century, when a group of artists rebelled against the traditional styles and techniques of the past. They began to experiment with new forms of abstraction and expression, challenging the very foundations of art itself. As the decades passed, artists continued to push the boundaries of creativity, and new movements emerged that were even more daring and avant-garde. Surrealism explored the world of dreams and the subconscious, while abstract expressionism embraced the spontaneous and the intuitive. But it was the emergence of digital art that truly transformed the world of art. With the advent of new technologies, artists could create art that was more immersive, more engaging, and more interactive than ever before. In the year 2050, a new movement emerged that would change the world of art forever. The Virtualists were a group of artists who used virtual reality technology to create art that was truly immersive and transformative.
Modern art horror story.
the history of modern art is not all sunshine and rainbows. It's a tale of darkness and horror, of artists who dared to delve too deep into the unknown and paid a terrible price for their curiosity. In the early 20th century, a group of artists known as the Dark Masters emerged. They rejected the traditional notions of beauty and aesthetics, instead embracing the macabre and the grotesque. Their paintings and sculptures were filled with images of death and decay, of twisted and deformed bodies. As the years passed, the Dark Masters became even more extreme in their art. They began to incorporate real human bones and flesh into their sculptures, and rumors spread of secret rituals and sacrifices that took place in their studios. But it wasn't just the Dark Masters who were flirting with darkness. As the 20th century progressed, more and more artists began to experiment with the occult and the supernatural, using their art as a means of exploring the unknown. Some of them went too far. There were stories of artists who had been possessed by demons or cursed by ancient gods, their minds twisted and tormented by dark forces beyond their control. Others simply disappeared, their bodies never found, their art left behind as a warning to future generations. Even today, the legacy of these artists lives on, their works haunting galleries and museums around the world. Some say that the spirits of the Dark Masters still linger in their creations, waiting to possess the unwary and the curious. Others warn that there are secrets hidden within these works, secrets that should never be uncovered. So if you find yourself drawn to the art of the modern era, be careful. You never know what horrors may lurk within the canvases and sculptures, waiting to claim your soul.
Modern art comedy. Ladies and gentlemen, gather round, for I have a tale to tell, a tale of art, of creativity, and of the wild and wacky world of modern art. It all started way back in the early 20th century, when artists began to experiment with new styles and techniques. Cubism, Futurism, Surrealism, each movement was more outlandish and bizarre than the last. The art world became a veritable circus, with artists juggling paintbrushes, throwing sculptures like frisbees, and performing acrobatic feats of creativity that left audiences gasping in awe and laughter. One artist, Salvador Dali, was particularly famous for his antics. He once rode an elephant through the streets of Paris, wearing a diving suit and a bowler hat, while carrying a baguette in one hand and a live lobster in the other. Another artist, Marcel Duchamp, caused a stir when he entered a urinal into an art exhibition, claiming that it was a work of art. Critics were left scratching their heads, wondering if Duchamp was a genius or just taking the piss. As the years went on, the art world became even more absurd. Performance art became all the rage, with artists doing everything from eating raw meat to sitting silently in a chair for hours on end. And then there was the pop art movement, which celebrated the mundane and the everyday. Artists created sculptures of soup cans, painted portraits of celebrities, and even made art out of bubblegum wrappers and comic books. Through it all, the art world remained a place of wonder, amusement, and pure hilarity. Critics and curators may have scratched their heads, wondering what it all meant, but audiences loved it, they laughed, they cried, and they left the galleries feeling inspired and uplifted. And so, my friends, let us raise a glass to the artists who dared to be silly, who dared to be strange, and who dared to make us laugh. For in the wild and wacky world of modern art, there is always room for a good joke and a hearty chuckle.
Modern art love story. Once upon a time, in the early 20th century, the art world was a place of passion and romance. It was a world where artists poured their hearts onto canvas, and where love and beauty were celebrated in all their forms. One such artist was Pablo Picasso, whose paintings of his lover, Dora Maar, captured her beauty and grace in ways that left viewers breathless. His portraits of her were filled with vibrant colors and sweeping lines, reflecting the passion and intensity of their love. But Picasso was not the only artist to fall in love with his muse. Marc Chagall, too, found inspiration in his wife, Bella, painting her with a tenderness and affection that radiated from the canvas. And then there was Frida Kahlo, whose self-portraits depicted her pain and suffering, but also her fierce love for her husband, Diego Rivera. In her paintings, she captured the depth of their bond, showing the world what it truly meant to love and be loved. As the years passed, the art world continued to be a place of love and romance. The abstract expressionists expressed their emotions through bold brushstrokes and dramatic splashes of color, while the pop artists celebrated the joys of everyday life and the beauty of ordinary objects. And even as new movements emerged and old ones faded away, the love stories of the artists remained a constant, a thread that ran through the history of modern art like a ribbon of passion. For in the world of modern art, love was not just a feeling, but a force that inspired and guided the artists, a flame that burned bright and true, illuminating the canvas and the hearts of all who beheld it.
Modern Art's sad story. In the turbulent world of modern art, there lived two artists whose lives were intertwined by fate, both blessed and cursed with their own brilliance. Vincent van Gogh, the Dutch post-impressionist, and Amedeo Modigliani, the Italian expressionist, were their names, and their stories were as tragic as they were beautiful. Vincent had always been a misunderstood soul. He painted with a fervor that came from deep within his troubled heart. His vibrant, swirling colors danced across his canvases, capturing the essence of his inner turmoil. Yet, the world could not fathom the depths of his brilliance, and his works often languished in obscurity. One fateful night, Vincent found himself in a dimly lit café in Paris, where he met Amedeo Modigliani, a fellow artist known for his captivating portraits. Modigliani was a man of enigmatic charm and a taste for the bohemian life. They shared their dreams, their fears, and their love for art over glasses of absinthe. As their friendship blossomed, they found solace in each other's company, for they were both outsiders in a world that struggled to understand their vision. They painted side by side, each inspiring the other to reach new heights in their art. Modigliani's graceful portraits complemented Vincent's bold landscapes, and together, they created a symphony of emotions on canvas. But the shadows of darkness never truly left Vincent. His inner demons haunted him relentlessly, pushing him to the brink of madness. He struggled with bouts of despair and hopelessness, and his art became a reflection of his tortured soul. Despite Modigliani's attempts to console his friend, Vincent's anguish was too deep to quell. One fateful night, as Vincent stood alone in his studio, he made a choice that would forever change the course of their intertwined lives. He painted his final masterpiece, Starry Night, pouring all his anguish and longing into the swirling night sky. Then, he turned his pain inward, ending his own life. Modigliani was devastated by Vincent's tragic end. He mourned the loss of his friend, and his own art took on a melancholic tone. He channeled his grief into his work, painting portraits that captured the sorrow and emptiness he felt inside. But Modigliani's life too was marred by tragedy. His reckless lifestyle and self-destructive habits took a toll on his health, and he succumbed to tuberculosis at a young age, leaving behind a legacy of haunting portraits and a love for an artist who had shared his passion and his pain. And so, the world of modern art mourned the loss of two brilliant souls, whose lives were marked by their unwavering dedication to their craft and their shared burden of sorrow. Vincent van Gogh and Amedeo Modigliani, forever remembered as artists who painted not just with colors but with the raw emotions of their tormented hearts.
Anti-modern story. In a small village nestled in the countryside, there lived a group of traditional artists who cherished the old ways of painting and sculpture. They saw themselves as guardians of the beauty and elegance that had been passed down through the ages, and they scoffed at the new, strange art that was emerging in the cities. They called themselves the anti-modernists, and they prided themselves on their ability to capture the essence of nature in their works. They painted landscapes with delicate brushstrokes, sculpted figures with painstaking attention to detail, and celebrated the natural world in every way they could. But as the years went by, the anti-modernists found themselves increasingly at odds with the changing world. New forms of art were emerging, strange and unsettling works that defied all conventions and challenged everything the anti-modernists held dear. They watched with horror as the cities became filled with bizarre sculptures and abstract paintings, works that seemed to have no rhyme or reason. They saw their own works dismissed as outdated and irrelevant, and they became increasingly bitter and resentful. One day, a group of young artists from the city came to visit the village. They were strange and wild, with wild hair and bold clothing, and the anti-modernists could barely hide their disdain. But then, something strange happened. As the young artists began to talk about their art, the anti-modernists found themselves drawn in. They heard about the freedom of expression, the limitless possibilities of creation, and the ability to challenge convention and create something truly new. At first, the anti-modernists resisted the new ideas, clinging stubbornly to their traditional ways. But as they listened more and more, they began to see the beauty in the strange, unsettling works that were emerging in the cities. Slowly but surely, they began to experiment with new forms of art, pushing the boundaries of their own creations and exploring new ways to express themselves. And as they did, they discovered a new sense of freedom and joy in their art, a liberation from the strict conventions of the past. And in the end, the anti-modernists realized that there was no need to fear the new, no need to cling to tradition at the expense of progress. They learned that art was a journey, a never-ending exploration of the possibilities of creation, and that there was beauty to be found in every form, no matter how strange or unconventional.
We can thank Gregor Mobius for pointing out to the fact that the art historical narrative is broken, and that it depends on the prompt, that it depends on the information, and this is what art history becomes when we merge it with artificial intelligence.